Yo, what's up, guys? This is the Talkin The Star podcast. I'm your host, Connor Livesay, here with both of my co-hosts tonight, Dalton Miller, Cole Patterson. We are the Talkin The Star podcast on the Blogging the Boys podcast network. Thank you so much for listening. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're gonna stop looking towards the draft. We're gonna stop talking about Team Tank. We're going to talk a little bit about how this Dallas Cowboys football team might actually have a chance to host a playoff game in in about 2 months, which sounds silly to say, but I mean, this division is so bad and the way the schedule is set up that there is a realistic chance that this team has a shot at winning the division if they can win two, maybe even three more games. And we think that there's a chance that they have a chance to do that. So we're going to talk about it. But before we do, how you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. It's finals week for me, so a lot of stress. But here's hoping the Cowboys provide me a little bit of happiness, which hasn't been the case for much of this season.
Well, you'll be happy with finals being over though too, right? So
Yeah.
I mean that's another thing to be happy about.
Yeah, I'll be
But
relieved.
yeah, is your last final on Friday or how does it?
Yeah,
set
pretty
up?
much. It's all online now, so it's kind
Yeah,
of
that's right.
different.
That's right. But yeah, I mean I'm good. Other than that, I'm just kind of chilling.
There you go.
Dalton's
Got the
chilling.
Cowboys Stadium in the background.
Yeah. That's
Stock
that's
photo
what
background.
that is.
Yeah.
That is legitimately what the game is going to look like. Not this coming up week because they play in Minnesota, but I'm sure Jerry's going to have that house packed full of
Everybody else is going back
yeah,
on
everybody else is
restricted.
just no one allowed, and Jerry's going to be like, let's up it a little bit. So
Oh yeah.
it's fine.
Sure.
It's no biggie
But
at all.
so let's take a look at this, guys. Cowboys are last in the NFC East at 2-7, but they are only a game back of being in first place. They could win this week and go from worst to first.
How did it all go so wrong?
Yeah.
What happened in this division?
Look, technically it could just be going right though. I mean, like get one more win and we're back in first.
That's not right, though. You shouldn't be like that at 3-7.
I guess they're technically a game and a half back because Philly does have the tie, but still, what a disaster. But all right. Let's be realistic here.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Let's be realistic here. So the Cowboys have 2 months of this regular season left. They have the Vikings coming up this week. They have the Washington football team coming up the next week, the Baltimore Ravens coming up the next week, the Cincinnati Bengals coming up the week after that, the San Francisco 49ers the week after that, the Philadelphia Eagles the week after that, and the New York Giants the week after that. Realistically, this isn't a good football team, but I feel like when you look at that schedule, you could come away and say that this team could win, Again, let me put the emphasis on could because I don't think they will, but they could win 3 more games. Would you guys agree with that?
I mean, just based on how bad the other teams are, yeah,
Right.
I could see that.
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely not basing it on them, going out and beating the Ravens or, I mean, but the Bengals, the Giants, the Eagles, the 49ers even.
Like, it's not a real impossibility for them to reel off a couple wins. So I agree with that, but that speaks to more how bad the teams on their schedule are more than anything else.
And
Yeah.
I guess
I mean, if they can go out and win both of those divisional games at the end, I think it's going to be a toss-up.
Yeah.
Because I don't. We're all going to trade wins in the division. It all really comes down to how the Cowboys perform then.
Do you think they win? So they have the Eagles and the Giants to close out the season.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they can win another game or two before those last 2 games?
Yeah, give me the run through the schedule. I mean, they definitely can. They play the Bengals. They play
Vikings,
the
Vikings,
Vikings,
Ravens,
the
Bengals, 49ers, Eagles, Giants.
Yeah, I mean that's not a great schedule.
No.
Like they came off easy. It just makes me so damn upset that Dak is out for the year.
9-7, baby. We're going 9-7.
Dude, they would have legitimately walked away with the division
Yeah, it wouldn't have
with
been
a
close.
healthy Dak.
Wouldn't have been close.
Nope.
And I guess again we went through the Cowboys schedule, but I feel like you said, Cole, like we're not saying that the Cowboys are so good that they're going to reel off 4 or 5 wins against. We're saying
They
their
won't.
opponents are so bad
Mhm.
that there's a chance that they can squeak out a few wins. And when you look at the rest of the NFC East schedule, they don't have it very easy. The Eagles have the Browns, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Saints, the Cardinals, the Cowboys, and the football team. I mean, those are 4. They might win one more game, and that's probably going to be the Cowboys or the football
It is a
team.
brutal schedule.
But I mean, like, the Browns should beat them. The Seahawks should beat them. The Packers should beat them. The Saints should beat them. The Cardinals should beat them.
Yeah.
You're looking at a realistic possibility of the Eagles going into the game with the Cowboys have not won another game in a month.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, really, I guess let's skip to the, let's stop ignoring the elephant in the room here. Who outside of the Cowboys has the best chance to win this division?
I would say the Giants are probably playing the best right now. Again, it's probably like the tallest midget. It's not saying that they're a threat to anybody. But I'm also looking at their schedule too, and they have some difficult games as well. They got the Bengals.
I think that this game for the Giants is coming up that's next week.
Next week, yeah.
They're on bye. But if they drop that game to the Bengals,
they might lose out.
That's the deciding game for them.
It's funny. They might win one more game, and it's that because then they play Seattle on the road, then Arizona at home, then Cleveland, and then Baltimore on the road. So I think they might be playing the best, but that schedule isn't easy.
And we have to keep going back to the only reason we're having this discussion is because all the other NFC East teams have tough schedules, and they're bad, and the Cowboys are a bad team, but they have an easier schedule. It's not that we think the Cowboys are the best team in the division. We just think with what's left and how much.
We don't even really want them to be the best team in the division. They just might be, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right, and I'm kind of like, my take on with looking at the draft and stuff now is like, I wouldn't kill this team for winning a few more games, because if you can't find a trade partner, like, I don't love my options right now at 3 and 4. As far as the prospects go. I mean, again, you start talking about having that 3rd or 4th pick in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. That's probably where you're getting more value, than when you would be in round 1. But still, like, if you're sitting at 3 or 4, you have that ability to move around. You have that ability to trade back, pick up more picks, where you probably don't have that ability at 8 or 9. You probably have more value there if you sit still at 8 or 9 and pick, Patrick Surtain or Caleb Farley or J.C. Horn. I mean, again, we can go through all the options. Micah Parsons.
Man, J.C. Horn, brother. I watched a little bit more of him again, and man, he has had himself a season.
Yeah, that dude, like,
he's a dog.
Right. He's a dog. That's what stands out the most to me when I watch him. It's like he does. He's not like this freak athlete. He's not like. He's not. Yeah, he just competes his tail off. Like, he's gonna get flagged a ton. Like, but he is going to. I mean, he's a dog. We talk about this defense not having dogs. Not having the guys who want. Yeah, like, he is going. He'll yoke dudes up if they're not performing and giving effort. So, like, he's a dude that, like, if they can somehow. I mean, again, is he going to be a top 5 player? Probably not even a top 10 player. Probably not. But, like, perfect trade back candidate if they end up winning a couple games and you can draft him at 12, 13, 14, I'm probably going to be on board for that. So, but, so let's go through. We went through the Eagles schedule. We went through the Giants schedule. Let's look at the Washington football team schedule, who is tied with the Cowboys at 2-7. They obviously have the tiebreaker advantage with the 25-3 win over the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. But football team has the Bengals, which should be a competitive game. The Cowboys, the Steelers, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Panthers, and the Eagles. So again, we kind of keep going back to it. They have, the Steelers are probably going to be an L for them. The 49ers probably going to be an L, but they could squeak out a victory there. The Seahawks should be an L. The Panthers should be an L. You're going back to that Bengals game, the Cowboys game, and the Eagles game. And like Dalton, you said earlier, it's kind of going to be who wins these division games is who's going to win the division.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I just have no clue how it's going to go down. Like I can't even begin to wonder because like any of these teams can be the best team given the day. Obviously, we don't think that Daniel Jones is a good quarterback, but guess what? Carson Wentz is playing as bad, or if not worse, than Daniel Jones. And guess what? The Dallas Cowboys are running out there with Andy Dalton coming off of COVID and a concussion, or Garrett Gilbert as his backup. Like, this is the dark times in the NFC East. And I don't know what's going to happen because I think that any of these teams can lose to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's easy. It's not even like,
to put it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not even like, go off and any team can beat anyone on any given. Like that's bull. It's
like
not going to happen.
Of the NFC West.
It's just which one of these atrocious teams are going to beat the other. That's all this. That's what we're going to have to wait and see. We'll find out.
Pretty much that is what it comes down to. But let's go ahead and take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of the things do we want the Cowboys to win the division? No. But there is a realistic shot that can happen. So let's take a break, come back, and talk about some of the things that they should do and can do if we want to see them win the division. Which again, we don't want to. We want to see them probably not win another game. Get a top draft pick and let's build this thing for 2021. But since that possibility is real and that possibility is there, we're going to be positive. We're going to talk about some of the things they can do and should do in order to win the NFC East and host a playoff game. Oh, how does that even sentence come out of my mouth is insane. But we're going to talk about that when we come back. After a break, we are Talking the Star. And we're back on the Talkin The Star podcast. I'm your host, Connor Livesay, here with Dalton Miller and Cole Patterson. Give us all a follow on Twitter at Connor NFL Draft, at Dalton B. Miller, and at Cole L. Patterson. I want to give a big shout out to Blogging the Boys, SB Nation, and Vox Media for giving us a platform to host the podcast on. Thanks so much to those guys. Make sure you have subscribed to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed on whatever podcast platform you listen on, and give us a good rating, give us a good review. Tons of voices, tons of different shows, tons of different opinions. Can't express it enough that I feel like Dallas Cowboys content on podcast form, and you subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast, it's going to be tough to beat content. So make sure you do that and get a ton of different opinions on the Dallas Cowboys. And we're giving a different opinion than we normally do on the Dallas Cowboys today, as we are all positive. We're bringing the NFC East banner home to AT&T Stadium. That thing is getting hung up in the rafters, and we are going to host a playoff game in a couple months here at AT&T Stadium because we are the dominant NFC East champions. What do we got to do, guys? Do we got to play Garrett Gilbert? Defense has looked better the last couple weeks. I feel like that's in part due, you've played Carson Wentz and you've played Ben Roethlisberger, who's been banged up, but the defense has been looking better. The special teams has been giving you a little something. There is hope here. What are some things that we can do on either side of the ball to maybe make this dream a reality? Dalton, I'll start with you.
Man, that's a good question. I think continue to play feisty on defense, feisty and smart, because they've really dumbed down the defense, making things easier, especially in the back half. And so I think playing aggressive from the spots that you're in, but playing smart, it's going to be interesting to see what this secondary looks like now without Trayvon Diggs. Hopefully Chidobe Awuzie comes back and is healthy and good. And so, because he's trying to get paid too.
Yeah.
And so, hopefully those guys continue to perform, but it's really, for me, more on the offense than it is the defense at this point.
How insane is that?
Exactly. They need to figure something out to get this passing attack going. I don't know what they have to do or how they're going to do it, but they need to figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean, before we get to Cole, I hate to say it, but I feel like the most success you've had in that passing game was with Garrett Gilbert 2 weeks ago, and I feel like if we're serious about making a run, and again, I know Andy Dalton has played a game and a half, or 2.5 games, I should say, but really struggled against the Cardinals, who doesn't have a great defense. He struggled immensely against the team, which he then had the concussion in that. But I mean, again, like I haven't seen anything from Andy Dalton that makes me think he can do anything productive with this pass, other than the last few minutes of that Giants game where he did make some good throws. But I mean, again, if we're serious about trying to win this division, trying to host a playoff game, I'd throw the old Garrett Gilbert guy up back in there and wing it. But I mean, even from a future team building perspective, I feel like that's the right move. But I saw more from him just being able to move the offense, move the football than I've seen from Andy Dalton. But Cole, do you have anything that you think that can add to this team's success on trying to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting healthy. I know they have some guys banged up. Can't afford to lose Zach Martin. Obviously, he's already missed a game, missed some time. But yeah, I would say Garrett Gilbert in a quarterback would be the best move for this team. Obviously, he looked really confident against Pittsburgh, who has arguably the best defense in the NFL this season. So if you can do that, surely you can do that against the NFC East, right? But yeah, I mean the schedule sets up for them to get some wins. I don't know if they can stop Dalvin Cook. I don't know if they can beat Minnesota this week, but I mean they should be able to get a couple wins between Washington, Cincinnati, Philly, New York, banged up San Francisco team at home. So it's not like we talked about earlier. It's not like they have a gauntlet or anything like that. It's not like they're playing a challenging schedule. I think it's just the offense getting into a rhythm and the defense at least giving you some average play. They don't even need to be great, but the offense does need to at least show they have some sign of life and be able. I mean, they have weapons. You got 3 really good receivers. Schultz is playing pretty well. I know Zeke isn't having the best season, but he's still Ezekiel. You still have Tony Pollard. You still have some guys on that offensive side of the ball that should be able to get into the end zone. And Garrett Gilbert has been the guy that looks like he's best suited to do that.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is that if you want to have success on offense, which I agree with both of you guys, as far as that's the side of the ball that has to be better if they want to win the NFC East. It's not going to happen, but I think taking Ezekiel Elliott off the field and put not off the field, but off the field more than he has been, and putting Tony Pollard on, because you're getting the explosive runs from Tony Pollard.
Pollard does look good.
And I mean, again, like I'm not saying Pollard's going to come in and just change the entire dynamic of the running game, but I think when the running game's struggling, getting those 20+ yard runs, whether it's 2-3 of them a game instead of 0, that's huge. I mean, getting those chunk plays that aren't there to show up, whether it's like I said, just a few times a game, is huge. And then, I mean, again, I think that the most disappointing thing for me for Ezekiel Elliott this year has just been his struggles at receiver when the ball's thrown his way. Bad things tend to happen, whether it's drops that results in interceptions, fumbles. I mean, he's just been a atrocious catcher of the football this year. Leads the league in drops, if I'm not mistaken. His EPA and success rate as a receiver are one of the worst in the league. So it's just anytime you target him in the passing game, it kills your offense. And Tony Pollard's numbers aren't great in that regard as far as EPA and success rate, but they're a lot better than Zeke's. And I feel like if you are serious about winning this division, getting Tony Pollard more involved in this offense would be a step in the right direction.
Do you think that happens?
No.
Absolutely
not.
It's just like with us wanting Jalen Smith to get benched. Like it's just not going to happen. You just got to follow the money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, said it from the start. I don't think it does happen, but I think if this team's serious about, I mean, it's the same thing with. Again, I know it's not quite the same because it's only a 1-game sample size, but same thing with Andy Dalton and Garrett Gilbert. Andy Dalton makes more money. He's the bigger name. Yeah. He's what Jerry thinks the fans are more excited about Dalton than Gilbert, so that's who they're going to go with. No matter if Dalton goes out and lays another egg, they're
Yeah.
not going to go back to the guy who actually had success moving the offense. But the other thing that I'll add too, which again, not, I don't want to make it seem like I'm killing the coaching staff for this, but like the thing that kind of ticked me off a little bit in that Pittsburgh game is there was multiple situations where I felt like the offense should have went for it on fourth down. Two that come out and stand out to me that they punted and then kicked the field goal on. Like you have nothing to lose at this point, so playing that conservative style of play, especially on fourth down, especially when your offense is struggling and your defense is struggling, if you can't pick up a couple inches, so be it, because you're probably going to kick the ball back to the offense and they're going to go down the field and score anyways. So, yeah, I just, if it comes down to 4th and 1, 4th and inches, and it comes down to punting, kicking a long field goal or going for it, I'm going for it 100% of the time, especially when you have nothing to lose. Especially when your defense really hasn't shown that much of ability to stop teams when they need to. Though they've been better when Pittsburgh needed to drive the ball down the field and score the go-ahead touchdown, they did it with ease. So it's just don't think playing that conservative style of football is the way to, win games against good opponents or bad opponents. So
Yeah.
I know we haven't talked a ton since the Pittsburgh game about that game, but we did see a lot of signs of life from the special teams. Um, we're seeing a little bit of signs of life from the defense, but I think the special teams really stepped up in that Pittsburgh game. Do you think that's something that we saw it a little bit in that Pittsburgh game, kind of the way that they were in that game was because the special teams did so well. Could you see that continuing to help this football team in these next few games and possibly catapult them to a few victories, maybe against some of these better opponents? Or do you think they'll kind of drop back down to the normal imbecile special teams unit we're used to?
I mean, it's tough for me to really
Yeah.
get a good feeling about the Dallas
I was gonna
Cowboys
say the same
special
thing.
teams
Yeah.
just because of what we've seen over the past couple of seasons.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, anything we get from them is a blessing, in my
Mm.
opinion.
Yeah, it's really hard to expect anything good coming from them until they prove that they can stack good games on top of one another. I mean, they had a good performance against Pittsburgh, but if you told me they laid a really bad egg against Minnesota, I would not be surprised at all. The unit just hasn't earned my trust at all.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I guess that's the thing to go back to, like the conservative style of coaching and stuff that I was talking about. It's like I just don't get how you can be so aggressive on special teams like they showed against Pittsburgh, and then in the same game, punt on 4th and inches, and then kick a 49 yard
49-year-old field goal.
49 yard field goal against 4th and inches too, and it's like you're
You put it on
throwing
4th and inches, but throw it across the
yeah,
field
you're
on a
throwing
kickoff.
53 yards across the field on a, punt, but you won't just, quarterback sneak it on 4th and 2 inches. I don't get it, but
It's
I don't
bizarre.
know. Before we get out of here, I do want to talk about two things. The Cowboys did sign Breland Speaks to their practice squad today, which I know, guys who are interested in the draft, people who are interested in the draft are probably a little bit familiar with his name. He was drafted in the second round by the Chiefs in 2018. It's been a quick turnaround for him. And then the other one is DeAndre Baker. That's been a lot of people have been asking thoughts on DeAndre Baker. So I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on Breland Speaks and DeAndre Baker. I mean, I know Speaks is on the practice squad, so there's probably not but so much you want to talk about there. But Cole, do you have any opinion on Speaks or DeAndre Baker?
I see Speaks play a lot in college. With him being from Ole Miss. But yeah, I don't know. He's on the practice squad. I'm not sure how big of an addition he's going to be. But I mean, he was drafted in the second round. That may have been a reach at the time. But I mean, he has. I mean, it's not like the defensive room has a lot of talent in it right now, especially when you factor in all the injuries. So I don't see. There's no downside to it. See what you got in him. If he brings anything to the table, that's only a bonus. If not, it's really cheap. I mean, you're not really losing anything there. DeAndre Baker. I mean, I know a lot of people have opinions on him. I'm not sure. I mean, again, it's kind of like the same thing with the defensive line. There's not a lot of talent in the secondary right now. So if they went out and signed him, I wouldn't be frustrated with that at all. Needless to say, I mean, especially Trevon Diggs going down, former first-round pick, former All-American from Georgia. You got to see what you. I mean, if you want to see what you have in him, see if he can get things going. I know things didn't really work out in New York, even aside from the fact off the field stuff. I wouldn't hate the move. I don't know if I would be pounding the table for it, but I think it wouldn't be like same thing with Breland Speaks. It wouldn't hurt you at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel too. Listen, like Breland Speaks, I wasn't a fan of his coming out, so like him being on the practice squad, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But with DeAndre Baker, like it's tough for me to explain. I'm okay with it from a football perspective, but like morally,
Yeah.
I sit here and I'm like, man, like, yeah, he's off, but like he's off on a technicality, because that lawyer was shady. And, I had heard stuff coming out from him that he wasn't a very hard worker and that, he didn't work out for the combine at all and he didn't take well to coaching. And then you have this, which was literally armed robbery.
Yes. Huge red flag.
We need more of that on the team, though, right? Just
we need some dogs.
Some dogs in the locker room.
I mean, look, if you're gonna get embarrassed, at least go into the locker room afterwards and try to steal some people's, chains and stuff.
Okay. So yeah, like you're gonna get him for nothing anyways. You might as well take a chance because at the end of the day, like I still had a second round grade on DeAndre Baker. I didn't love him coming out, but that was a bad cornerback class. He ended up being the first corner taken, and so you at least give that type of talent another shot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. I mean, it's just with Baker, the career arc is, his rookie year was atrocious. He was terrible.
It was
it was awful. And then his second year, he literally is suspended and released from his team because of armed robbery. So it's like I mean, when we say taking a flyer, you're pretty much taking a flyer. Like you're flipping a coin and just hoping that one, the legal issues are, absolutely false and won't pop back up, and two, that he can just develop, and hopefully it was a confidence, hopefully the change in scenery would help. But also, like you said, Cole, I mean, like when you're throwing Savion Smith out there, like I'm willing to
Exactly, yeah.
He can't be any worse.
He can't be worse.
I've said that a lot this year, and they're probably wrong in a lot of that, but
they keep surprising us.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, and especially, I guess, if you guys will probably know the answer to this, but so is he still like, wait, you don't have to claim him, obviously, so you're just signing him to a 1-year deal, where if you claim a guy, you're taking on the contract.
Yeah.
But would he just be, since he is a released free agent, that's a new deal, right?
I believe so, because I believe, well, yeah.
I mean,
he's a free agent, so
right.
He would just
nobody.
But I don't know what his I don't know what his pay scale would be.
Right.
I don't, because I would imagine he would still be on like the rookie undrafted free agent pay scale.
Yeah, that's where it gets a
so
little.
Like you could get him for
really
almost
cheap.
actually nothing.
Right,
Yeah.
and I mean I guess that's my thing, because it's like I don't want to sign. I wouldn't want to sign DeAndre Baker for the remaining 5 or 6 games or whatever it is. Yeah. Like if I could get him like on a 2-year deal to where it's like, look, you'll come play these last few games, and then next year you'll come into training camp and you'll have the opportunity to compete for a spot, because this cornerback room next year is just, I mean, you're going to be looking at Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Brown, and that's about it, unless Cheeto comes back or Jordan Lewis comes back. But you're not going to have much. Reggie Robinson will be around, but obviously they're not giving him much of a look right now. So, I mean, again, like if you could make this into a multi-year thing, that's going to be super cheap multi-year, then that's where I'd be like, okay, I'd be interested in seeing, what's left there. For Speaks, I'm kind of on the same page as you guys. It's like it's a practice squad move. Maybe, if Tyron Crawford doesn't get off the COVID list, he might get a call up and, get an opportunity to play a little bit. But I feel like this is more of a, we'll see what, hopefully you strike lightning twice with a David Irving, practice squad guy who they signed from Kansas City years ago. Don't think it's a similar style of player, but try to see what you can do there. But I know a lot of people are talking about DeAndre Baker. I know DeAndre Baker is visiting with the Chiefs. So he might not be available for long. But we'll keep an eye on that and keep tabs on that as well. And we're gonna get ready for these Vikings. The Vikings did pull off a win on Monday Night Football on Monday night against the Bears, so they're riding pretty high right now. But I don't think that's a good football team. And I think if the Cowboys do want to win the NFC East, it'd be a good idea for them to go out and win a football game on Sunday against a pretty decent team.
Yeah.
But that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back next week, as always, to talk more Dallas Cowboys football. And hopefully, it's been a while, but hopefully we'll be talking about a Cowboys win. And we'll
Let's get it.
Let's get it. I'm going to leave you guys with one question before we go. We got a few games left in the division. What record wins the NFC East? 3-5-1 is at the top of the division right now, and that's the Eagles, and they have a murderer's row coming up with games.
5. I think 5 wins the division.
5-10-1.
Yeah.
You think the Eagles win it 5-10-1?
That's what I'm calling. Yep.
Okay. I think I agree with you, which is just absolutely embarrassing. But
Yeah.
Yes. Quite embarrassing. Yes.
Atrocious.
It is what it is.
Yep. Well, let's go. We'll draft in 2020. We'll come into 2020. Well, I guess it is a 2021 draft. We'll come into 2021 raring to go, hopefully with our quarterback signed.
Yeah.
With a stud defender drafted in the top part of the draft. And hopefully we can beat that 5-10-1 NFC East record in 2021. But if not, we'll come back and we'll win it. We'll win the division this year at 5-11, because there's a chance that we can and there's a chance that we will. But we'll talk about that as the season progresses. We'll be back next week. We are Talking the Star.